Let's see what Oda's done this week. That's fine. I'll just read My Hero first. Bro, don't tell me I'm gonna have to finally read Black Clover this week. Alright, good. Jujutsu Kaisen's already out. Who the fuck?
Go crazy, go crazy, no crazy,
Unable to read more than one shonen here this week. One Piece and My Hero on break, unfortunately, but luckily Jujutsu Kaisen and Spy Family are here to keep me sane, I guess, and, hold it down until they return. So, without further ado, clearly we've only got one thing to cover. My job is pretty easy this week, but I'll find some way to talk too long anyway. So, let's get right into it. Jujutsu Kaisen, I'll still do the thing, because we're professional out here. Jujutsu Kaisen 181. So the chapter starts off with Udo's last words to Yuta, basically warning of Sukuna's return, which would kind of go against what I predicted last week with the culling game video that where I kind of speculated that, Kenjaku's plan revolved around utilizing Sukuna and not just summoning him. Really not upset about the Sukuna hype though, because, if just his return is enough to, bring so much chaos to the world, then cool. That just means that he's going to be a great final villain or just be that much of a problem. He's going to live up to the hype. Also Uda seems to be speaking from experience here. So, although I kind of want to take her words with a grain of salt, I kind of feel inclined not to when she says something like, Yuta, you're reaching your limit, and I've kind of seen what limitless really looks like. However, I do feel inclined to take Ryo's words or his reaction to Udo still being alive with a huge grain of salt after learning that their whole quarrel here in Sendai could be summed up basically by being somewhat of a lover's quarrel. Kind of clears some of the confusion I had earlier when I thought that they might have been talking to each other while watching Yuta face off against Kurorushi? Still don't know his name. Or the other guy. Don't ever ask me. Yuta's able to get Ryu's points though, which brings him to 200 exactly, which means that he can now establish a communication between him and the other players, and him and the squad, and then also connect the colonies, which I think he's going to establish the connection first. He can do both, so it doesn't really matter, but it seems like he wants to establish the connection first based off of 174, because he talks about, hey, we can't let any of these other strong players get out. We have to make sure they're eliminated before we establish this connection. So it seems like we might be getting, comms between everyone very, very soon, right? So I wonder if that means Hakari as well. I wonder if he's going to be able to find a way to have Kogane kind of let him call certain players rather than just be like, everyone's linked mentally. I'm guessing it's going to be that because, it's really convenient. It should be that. Also, Miwa's lurking around? What the hell is happening here? I mean, okay. I'm going to assume two things. One, she's already a player in a colony. Don't know which colony. Don't really care. But I'm going to say she's a player. And two, that she's strong enough to participate in the culling game, right? We can't have grade 2 sorcerers roaming around these parts, right? So I'm hoping that this little crater that we see her walking through right here, it was made by her, and just goes to show that she's had somewhat of an upgrade, because we can't, again, what's the point of bringing her around if she's just gonna be here to die, first encounter anyway? I don't think Gage is just trying to have her go on a suicide attempt, although very well could, seeing as though the only reason she really has to be participating in the culling game right now, underleveled or not, is avenge her love, her boo, right? Kenjaku kind of killed her boo, so, or her friend. You know how that goes in manga, so I'm assuming that's her motivation for being here. Anything else? I really don't know. There's nothing else to really speculate. It's a single page. Moving on. This new kid kind of looks like Mahito, just off of the hair and the general colorway. The black shirt does not help his case here. Although, whether or not I think that's actually Mahito, no, not at all. His name, though, I try to do some research, try to do my due diligence, and his name is Charles Bernard, which we get that. I did not need to do any research on that part. But it could be based off of 2 other historical figures about the same name. You got Charles Bernard, who was, I guess, this writer back in the day. The second is also Charles Renoir. No clue. Charles Bernard Renoir, though, and he was a philosopher who believed in some of the philosophy of Kant. Yeah, so that's all I really can get here. I'm not gonna really try and speculate, which one he would be, or try to go too deep into either of the histories, because one, I don't know if or if how these will be referenced at all, other than like being like, oh, this kid is somewhat a philosopher, because we do get a little bit later or just after his introduction some like self-questioning words, but that could also be a reach. And then number 2 is that this guy's an aspiring mangaka. He's not a philosopher. He's not this writer. Well, I guess he is a writer, but like, you know, he's not the first Charles Bernard that I mentioned. So I'm not too sure. I'm just gonna have to wait to see how it plays out first. Although if either of the Charles Bernards in history are very bad at taking criticism, then, you know, if anyone else figures that part out, if they can make that connection, then I'm gonna just be swayed immediately by that. This Charles, though, does seem to be very strong-willed about manga, which is great because he's a mangaka. But, you know, it just makes me wonder if Gage is gonna really get super meta with him, because, you know, Takaba wasn't really meta, but still kind of page-breaking in his character. You know, his humor was strong enough to even affect Gojo. So, well, that's like the last bit that we got, right? So, I don't know. I wonder if, you know, he's trying to kind of merge these two characters together, or like what is he doing with these new characters that have been introduced in the culling that, like, you know, so far haven't really done anything after, you know, we've split from them, right? I mean, obviously it's not long enough to go revisit them or to justify them not being touched upon anything, but I could just kind of see Charles getting a ton of inspiration of horror and manga from Hazanoki and Takaba as a duo, because, you know, you got the one who just uses his limbs or uses parts of his body as projectiles and then instantly regenerates them, and then the other one is just comedy. So I could see them all working together. I'm very biased though, because I want to take Charles's entire character as Gage's way of sort of addressing hate towards the series, because Gage's art style isn't super realistic, and although Jujutsu Kaisen is a shonen, it does blend comedy and horror very well. We cut forward to Hakari and Charles on the Ferris wheel together now, and what the hell? How did they end up together at all? Like, were there no other seats? They clearly don't want to be next to each other. Like, are we gonna get a flashback next chapter, or like some type of explanation to see how they ended up pairing together anyway? Because I just don't see the reason why at all. The chapter ends with Charles asking Hakari for a reason to fight, and thus a reason to be cared about in this battle manga, which Hakari obliges immediately. Like, he turns to him, goes, yo, you like manga? You are a mangaka? Cool. And then just roasts him, which immediately does the trick. And maybe, you know, maybe this is the fever that Hakari was looking for. This could possibly explain why they're paired together anyway, why they're near each other. Hakari could have possibly sensed something in him. You know, we do get that, I guess, 170 something. I forget what chapter it is, but, you know, Kirara kind of tells us Hakari's the most fired up when he's helping other students, or when he was helping other students in Jujutsu High. Sorry, that was hard to say. But yeah, that's like when he's most fired up, is like kind of being a mentor of some sort. So if that's his like reasoning for just being around this guy anyway, then, you know, hopefully we get like some type of training here, and that kind of cements Charles as an ally, right? Because why are you going to just chill next to an enemy in a Ferris wheel? Unless Hakari is just so damn powerful that he's just like, I can chill with my enemy real quick and then kill him anyway. Who knows? I mean, I guess if Hakari's Fight Club is scripted anyway by him, you know, it could be helpful to have a mangaka who can write really engaging, you know, scenarios or storylines for the fighters. The only question now is, where's he going to find a decent mangaka? And then the last thing I want to mention is the fact that it has been 11 minutes since Yuji, Megumi, Panda, and Hakari have entered their zones, and about an hour since Yuta entered his. So the fact that Kogane is still, you know, kind of dishing rules here that Yuta's able to take hold of means that his fight with, you know, the entirety of Sendai Colony lasted about an hour, and he's about caught up to them right now. He has to be around, you know, 12:15-ish, around the 12 o'clock, you know, time zone area, I guess. And that kind of means that no matter what he does, it is in succession with, you know, it's gonna be coming after the rules that Yuji and, you know, Megami are going to be able to establish, and then Hakari is also going to benefit from all of their rules as well, unless, you know, obviously Yuta's rule is like 12:30-ish, then that means Hakari's going to have to wait for all of these things to happen. But just keep note of all the, you know, the timestamps that we're getting, because they're going to become somewhat important in terms of, you know, timing of rules taking effect. But yeah, that's all I've got. There's nothing else to talk about really. No, nothing really further to speculate. I did that shit all last week, and I won't be doing it again for this manga for a little bit, at least a little bit. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy all the sun that is still outside. And yeah, I will see you soon. Bye.